the cup and the league all to be won. Everyone knows there's a job to be done, and with a team so fine, I'm proud they're mine. We'll be singing this song. For real past Dunfermline Athletic, and now we are on song. For real past Dunfermline Athletic, and we'll go marching on.
The Dunfermline Athletic Former Players Association podcast is sponsored by Starnut Apparel. Affordable and stylish clothing born on the terraces. Listeners of this podcast can get 10% off their order by using code PODCAST at the checkout. Just head to www.starnutapparel.co.uk.
Welcome to the Dunfermline Athletic Former Players Association podcast, Walking Down the Holbeath Road. Join us as we take a trip down memory lane with some of the most iconic players and managers to grace the pitch at East End Park. From reminiscing about their glory days to sharing insights on the game today, these legends will offer a unique viewpoint on the beautiful game. I'm your host, Mikey Mokkiewicz, and on this latest episode, we speak to Jim Leishman, MBE, a former player, manager and director of the club. He is known for his unique style of man management and motivational team talks, but what did it take to bring success to provincial football clubs such as Dunfermline Athletic and Livingston? How does Jim think he would manage in the game today, and how did football management impact on his family life? So sit back, relax and get ready to relive some unforgettable moments as we walk down the Holbeath Road with Jim Leishman. Before we start, what about this season and the job James McPake's done at the football club?
Great, Mickey. You know, I was really disappointed that we had went down that to the third division. Really disappointed in that, and some of the games this year haven't been terrific. But James was set a task at the start of the season: get us out of the division in one season. Let's get amongst the possible challenges of getting back to the Premier League next year, and he's achieved that. So well done to him, well done to his staff, and well done to all the players.
Yeah, 100% agree, mate. And was James at Livingston when you were there?
I signed him as a boy.
Right.
He was playing, and he was a decent player. I signed him as a striker. We're playing at New Broomfield against Celtic in the BP Youth Cup. Just before half-time, we were winning 2-0. James McPake scored the 2 goals as a striker, and involved in a challenge, and he broke his leg.
Right.
So, I went in to see him at half-time in the treatment room before the ambulance, and I come back, and I think it was Archie Knox or Richard Goff. I think so.
Yeah.
It was either that or John Robertson at Livingston. Converted him to a centre half, and then his career just kicked off, and away he went. Transferred down south, and brilliant.
Superb, mate. Well, there'll be plenty of Livingston stories throughout this podcast, but I want to start right at the very beginning of your managerial career. So you're appointed manager at Dunfermline in 1982, aged just 28. Tell us a little bit about the early days of management and how you got the job.
Pat Stanton had left to go to Hibs, the team that there was a hero there, and Tom Forsyth was appointed. He came in with Cammy Murray, the assistant manager. Didn't quite work out for Tam, a really good guy. Both of them, Pat Stanton, really legends with their former teams. But Dunfermline were on the decline at the time, and unfortunately Tam couldn't halt that. Tam made me the reserve team coach. So I was in charge of the reserves when Tam was there, and he got paid off, and I was put in temporary charge for 2 games, I think, 3 games maybe. And Mr Waters, who was the chairman at the time, he said to me, "Jim, are you interested in the job?" I said, "Well," I says, "Well, I think we were 37th out of 38 teams." I says, "Well, I can only go down one place. I can only get down to that again." And I says, "Yep." Yeah, I says, I really would. And you'll not believe this, Mickey, but I think at that time, there was over 200 applicants. On the Monday night, I was in the boardroom, and that's when I got offered the job, and I was delighted. All my intention at the time was to be in the centenary book, beside Jock Stein, Willie Cunningham, George Farm, all the great managers during the 60s. I says, my name's going to be in the centenary book, manager of Dunfermline Athletic. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't many players, former players, had achieved that at the time. And I'd missed out as a player because of my injury early on. So I says, right, I'm going to take it. I'm going to get £50 a week and 6 litres of petrol. And I couldn't drive. So £50 a week I got. Yeah. And it was never about the money. No. It was just about, but it was probably, the players didn't do themselves any justice at that time. 37th for Dunfermline out of 30 teams. The lowest had been since after the war. And I decided to give it a go.
Yeah. And like I said, you were only 28 years old. So what was your mindset at 28 years old, and how did you cope with?
I've been in charge of the reserves, and I got on great with the boys, and the boys, I think, enjoyed, the boys that were in the reserves enjoyed my style when I was with them, encouraging them and shouting them on. And I can remember after one game we did well at Airdrie in the reserves, and we won. We were getting beat, I think we were getting beat 1-0, and we beat them 3-1. And after it, Jim Bowie was in the reserve team, and I phoned him up, said, Jim, you're one of the senior boys in the team, and I really appreciate what you did and how you handle yourself. I know it's hard for you not to be in the first team, but great attitude, Jim, I appreciate that. So that was great. And then I says, why you know? I'd been the manager at Oakley, I'd been the manager for a wee while at Kelty Hearts, and I did well, and with 8 teams I did well. Although it's a junior league, it was a way down there. Yeah. But I says, come on.
Learn your trade though, eh?
Well, I learned how to handle people. Eh? Yeah.
How did you cope with senior players? Obviously there'd be players in that dressing room who were older than you. Is it no problem?
Well, you had to get a mindset to say, hey, look at the whole picture here. 37 through to 38 teams. They have no right to, I wouldn't say argue, but they had no right to stand up and say, look, this is this, because they had failed, eh? 26 part-time players, and they weren't, not them all, but a lot of them weren't good enough, so there was no fear. Jim, go in, do what you think's right, and get on. I think my strength at that time with the senior pros, I gave them the respect. That they were due. You know, a lot of them, I had only played about 70, 80, 90 games, I can't mind, but as you say, they were older than me, some of them, and they were. But I didn't look at them as being older than me. I says, hey, this is the position we're in. Poof.
Yeah, we're all the same type thing.
No, I had to prove them I was right. Mm-hmm. And what I brought back at that time, Mickey, was the respect that Dunfermline Athletic Football Club had.
Yeah, and the pride.
Yeah. All these photos were taken down for the 60s. They were taken down and put in a cupboard. It's not about the past, it's about the present. Come on, Dunfermline, you can't hide the history of Dunfermline in the 60s. 41 games in Europe. We should be looking at them and saying, wow, we're proud of that. Let's go and achieve that. Let's get up to... I'm not saying we could have got to back, but we did go back to Europe later on. But come on, you've got to have pride in your achievements.
Yeah. Sorry, Jim. I was going to lead into, what were the biggest challenges in those early days as a young, not naive manager, but obviously you're very early in your...
I'll tell you, one of the first things was getting respect. Nobody feared going to East End Park. Nobody feared the team because we're, as I say, we're 37th. Nobody feared them. I had to install this. Hey, let's make it difficult at East End Park. I took 3 days off my work. I was working in Cowdenbeath Job Centre. I took 3 days off when I got the job. I got Mrs. Craig, Fanny Craig. She was a cleaner. She was a tea lady. She was everything. A great woman, Kelty woman. And I goes in, and she was in the kitchen, And she was sewing. I says, what's that, Mrs. Craig? It's a football strap. I says, what you do? She says, I'm getting it ready for the Saturday. I'm sewing it because we'll need it for Saturday's game. And I took it to the boardroom at the night. I says, look, no wonder we're in this position. That's the strip for the first team, and Mrs. Craig's got to sew it together. This is Dunfermline. And I had to say to the board, the director, this is Dunfermline Athletic Football Club. No wonder. If we've not got respect in ourselves, how can we get respect for anybody else?
Yeah.
And I had to overcome that. I had to get the feelings, got the photos back up. I got talking about Dunfermline, how big it could be. At the start, I took over in October, I think. And by the end of the season, we had moved up a couple of places. And so I had made up my mind. They'll have to go. They'll have to go, or I'll go. Mm-hmm. Or I'll get told to go, because it's not going to improve. So I had to overcome that. It's the first time, Mikey, in my managerial career that I didn't feel sorry for letting some people go. Okay, when you get a youngster who's got potential in that, and he doesn't fulfil that potential for different reasons, and you say to them, look, I'm not going to sign you, they're broken-hearted.
Yeah.
And you feel sorry for them at that time. You move on, but you feel sorry, and it's a hard thing to do sometimes. But at that time, no. Mm-hmm. No. Didn't have any, no. You've had your chance, you've had your opportunity, you've not taken it, I'm going to...
Yeah.
And that's when I brought the Watsons and that in.
Yeah. Well, round about that time, we obviously start going up the league. So we finished third in 84, 85, just missed out on promotion. You then brought Gregor Abel in to the club. How important was Gregor for you in those early days?
Everybody, I've told everybody, you know, I was a manager, Mikey, and I needed somebody to prepare the boys, get them up, get them, and I training and coached. I loved to train when I was a player. I loved getting out and running and training and all the ball stuff and that. But I needed somebody like Gregor who, he was organised at the training, he got them all. I was always at the training with Gregor and that, but always great. And Gregor coming just before, when we finished that third top. And that was a bonus for me, Mikey, if I can go back to that position, the third top, because we got beat, we thought we had got promotion between us and Alloa. And Alloa, I think, were playing at Arbroath, or they're playing up that area, Angus. And we heard that they'd got beat, and we beat Berwick. Trevor Smith scored 2 goals, I think. But we beat Berwick 4-0 that day. And we all thought, we've got promotion as runners-up.
Yeah.
As runners-up. And I says, no. And we've missed it, we're improving. And then next year we won the championship. So instead of going up runners-up, we went up as champions the next season. So that was great. And it gave me a chance again to strengthen the team.
Yeah. So the progress starts to happen. So the next question I was going to ask is, how did you go about building and managing successful teams during your career? Obviously in the early days we'll start off with.
See, the early time, Mickey, when after the initial getting used to the players and letting, I'll give you an example. Andy Young was he was the guy that signed me for Dunfermline, the schoolboy, and he before I broke my leg, he was going to get me down. He became Don Revy's chief scout in Scotland. He was going to take me down to Leeds United. I was valued at £50,000 then. And so I really trusted Andy Young to guide me and help me through. But I knew he wasn't going to be the trainer. I brought John Jobson in to do the coaching and whatever, who did a great job, John Jobson. And Andy was the manager of the team. He looked after them. And at the end of the season, Davy Wilcox, and I was going to offer him, Davy might not have took it, I was going to offer him a 6 months contract. And Andy said to me, Jim, why are you doing that? I says, well, I think with the players, Davy, he's got a good attitude, he's okay. I think, but what if he doesn't? You've not progressed. Let him go, and you know, as soon as he goes out that door, he's away, you've got to bring somebody in better. You've got to bring better player in to help you improve. And that was great advice.
Yeah.
Didn't muck about, didn't didn't think, if he does this and if he does that, no, get somebody who's in doing that. And that's when I brought Davy Young in.
Yeah, and then the team started to progress.
That's when we started to progress.
Players.
So it was all about signing. If you ask John Watson, if you ask all the boys, I think that was one of my biggest strengths. Signing better players than we had. Bringing better players in. All throughout my career at Dunfermline and at Livingston.
Yeah. Well, here's the next question leading on from that. So how did you deal with player recruitment? Because obviously nowadays it's changed so much with access to more digital and videos and analysis and stats. So
You saw the players. I went to see the players. But the players we were playing against, you saw them. So Gary Thompson, for instance, when he come in and we got promotion, I paid 5,000 for Gary Thompson, but he was the sort of player that I needed. Davy Moyes, who helped us get his promotion to the Premier League. I saw Davy Moyes at Meadowbank, so you saw them and you saw how they played against you during the game. And so as Gary was $5,000, Davy Moyes was $2,000 or something to Meadowbank, maybe 3. Ian Westwater, I saw him playing the reserves with Hearts, doing it Greenock Morton. So I'd seen them that playing against us or in the reserves. Later on, Mark Smith, Ian McCall for Queen's Park. I saw them. I would go and see Queen's Park, the amateurs. I'd go up to the old news place at the very top and look down and I saw them. I tried to sign Mark Smith before he went to Celtic. Ian McCall, I managed to sign him. Kenny Brannigan went down to Sheffield. But they were 3 boys who were amateurs and I was wanting to bring them into us. I got Mark Smith eventually, $35,000, sold him for 110,000. Good business. But that's how, at the early days, I would go and see him. And even later on at Livingston.
yeah, was it still kind of the same concept for you when you were at Livingston?
No,
So football was changing as years go on.
Later on, it was more agents, dealing with more agents, and agents would bring them through, and you would maybe get a look at them for a week at training, or you would go and see them. I would cover up here, this side, and Davy Hay would go to the Glasgow side, and that's where I got Fernandez and Broto. I knew Marvin Andrews, Stephen Tosh. I'll talk about that deal later on,
Of course,
so the majority of players, very few we didn't know. I don't think there was any player that come in we hadn't saw. At Dunfermline, I saw them all.
Yeah.
Early on, I saw them all playing.
Has there been any players throughout your managerial career that you watched and tried to sign and ended up going on and having an amazing career and he's like the one that got away type thing?
Colin Davison.
Callum Davison.
Callum Davison, sorry.
St Johnson.
St Johnson, I had him. He had fell out with Paul Sturrock. He was a student. He was at either college or university studying, and he came and I'd seen him play, and fitness-wise, terrific. So I phoned Luggy, I phoned Paul Sturrock and said, Paul, what's the score? You'll get him £15,000. I went to see Bill Hunter. I need 15,000. Oh, we can't afford that. But, come on, 15,000. Livingston. I think we were in the Premier League at the time. We were still trying to get there. And I went to Blackburn a year later for 1.5 million. So that's the one that I missed. I didn't miss him. I wanted him. We just couldn't afford him at the time.
Happen,
No.
Is there any from your time at Dunfermline?
I can't think of anybody that I try to get.
You mentioned the boy
Darren Jackson. That was Darren Jackson.
Right.
Early on, I'm trying to think the guys that. Now, Darren was playing with Meadowbank Thistle, and Terry Christie knew he wasn't going to hold on to him, and Terry, I can't mind what the fee was, but it wasn't exceptional. It was 25,000 or something, but. They wanted 15% of any sell-on above the 25,000. So if he come to Dunfermline, did really well, and he did well at because he went down to Newcastle for 150,000 or something. So he would have got 15% of 125,000, but we got nothing. And Darren went down there, and well, you saw his career was great.
2 Scottish internationalists you just mentioned.
That did great. And so that's 2 that I identified that I didn't get for different reasons.
Yeah.
Next question, Jim. What's been the most memorable moments or your proudest achievements in football as a manager?
Oh yeah, boy. Honestly, this sounds big-headed, but I've got so many, eh? I think, as a manager, getting the job in the first place, genuinely, because I'd been so young, break my leg and finishing, coaching in the juniors with Oakley Juniors for a wee while in Kelty Hearts, and then getting the opportunity to assistant manager at Cowdenbeath at 25 with Andy Rowland. My God. But so getting a wee chance, was a great moment. Walking out in that East End Park, walking out as a manager, I'll never forget that. I didn't think, doing the steps. I didn't think I even got a cheer. There was nobody there. There was I can't mind. I mean, it was 600 folk or so. If there was that, 576, I think was my first game. But getting down the steps and feeling great. I think my first game I got a draw or something. But that was a great achievement, a proud moment. Obviously getting promotion, Mikey. So quick, and I won the second division, got promotion the next year, go to the Premier League to take Dunfermline as part of a team, to take them up to the Premier League for the first time. After being there when they were a top team in Europe, taking them back with the elite in Scotland was fantastic.
It must have been quite a surreal moment for you. How do you see, looking back on it? Did you soak it up at the time, or did it just go in a flash? Like
when we won the championship and went up to the Premier League, I can't mind. And I remember the last games when it come to the nitty gritty, Meadowbank, Thistle, and whatever. But I can't mind much. Morton, because I was friendly with Al McGraw, going to Morton, they were a hard team to beat. Airdrie, all these teams were hard teams to beat in the old First Division. But I passed it. Well, think about it, Mikey. My first full season, I was third. I won the championship the next season, got promotion again, got relegated, got promotion again, and we stayed up. That was my start in my career as a manager. Whoa, it was just amazing. Yeah. How did I do that? What was I doing right? But it was just terrific. Every moment, learning for the experience of going up and getting relegated. I learned so much for that. When we went back up, we didn't get relegated. No under me.
Yeah.
And so that was just, no again anyway, but that was just a great period. And Livingston, third, second, first, third in the...
Fairy tale stuff.
It was, who's that, Mickey? It's great. Not just me, Mickey. I'd be a ball bag saying it's just it's pitting.
But you built a good team off the pitch at Livingston as well, didn't you? That was
really
crucial for you as well.
And at Dunfermline.
Aye, and at Dunfermline.
Even in Monroe, we had a big fight, and I'll come back about things I regret, but Ian was good at his job, and I'll give him credit for that. And the players. Man management, different styles. And that's what was working, but he wanted more. So,
yeah. Aye, we'll come back to that. Something you mentioned actually about your attendance during your first season. So something that was really important to the football club at that time was the increase in the attendances. So I've got some notes here. So the average gate of the club increased from 1,500 in 1983-84 to 7,500 in 87-88. And then by 88-90, it was 13,500. How did you go about doing that? It was a big part of your time there was getting out in the community, wasn't it? It was so important to you, meeting the fans and going out to the pubs, the youth clubs.
Not just me, Mickey.
Right. Tell us a little bit about all that and how it came about.
Well, to start with, nobody was interested. Honestly, the interest in Dunfermline Football Club had gone, apart from, as you say, 1,500. And you've surprised me, Mickey, because I thought it was less than that. But there wasn't any community spirit. There was nothing. And what I did with McCarthy and Watson, they were big players at this time. They started a committee. So if the past supporters, the Jubilee supporters, the official supporters, all these guys, the scouts, everyone wanted a function, I would probably be with them most of the time, but they would organise 2 or 3 players to go along to attend. And that was a big thing. We became a club in the community rather than a community club. We became part of the community. And see, when things got hard, the fans said, hey, come on, let's get behind them, because they're supporting us. Yeah. And that played a big thing. Eh? That was great.
From a supporter's point of view, it's so important to see players in your town or city, in the supermarkets, in the shops.
Everywhere.
It's kind of missing in football now, isn't it? It's not
a lot of them travel into work, A lot of them are travelling into work. But I think that now we're getting a better response for the players now. You know, I think it had gone for a wee while that they weren't. No, some of them would do it, but not them all. And when you do it, you've got to enjoy doing it, Mikey. You've got to enjoy. And in the early days, they were getting adulation, because they'd been winning, and they were getting this, oh yeah, boy, this respect about, and that makes you feel good. Not only during the week when you're out there, but on a Saturday when you walk out, you want to go out there and you want to perform. Yeah. Because you know the people you're performing for.
Yeah, you've got that relationship, haven't you?
You've got that, yeah, and that's a huge thing. Yeah. A huge thing in football.
Brilliant, Jim. So the next question I was going to ask is, what were some of the key skills and traits you would say you need in being a successful football manager?
Personally speaking, I knew my strengths. I knew what I was good at. I knew what I could do, but I also knew, which was more important, what I couldn't do. And this is I go back to the coaching thing. Mm-hmm. I could coach. I've got my badges and that, Mikey. And this is disrespectful. You can get a coach, but you need a coach to go and get them to organise the skills, the drills that you talk about and we all talk about, and right, we'll do this and we'll do that, and then it comes to the nitty-gritty. One sentence on a Saturday could ruin the whole week. If you get something wrong on the Saturday, you've got to take it for the training ground into the performance on the Saturday, and that's what I was good at. That was if I could blow my own trumpet. That's what I was good at. The players used to love listening to my mental attitude talks about getting ready to play against the superstars.
Have you got any that spring to mind that you could tell us about?
Well, it was all in the paper. It was when we played in the early days, when we played Rangers in the Cup, the famous 2-0. And John Holt, Billy Kirkwood had got them. They had experienced that with Dundee United, the preparation. And I think it was John Holt coming and says, Gaffer, we used to go up to the old course in St Andrews. We used to go up there, and that's where we would prepare for the game. Brilliant. And I went up to see the guy. Russ Furlong, his name was. He was the general manager of the old course. No budget or nothing. I goes in and speaks to him. And I told him, I says, Russ, I'm up. I'd like to bring the team up to prepare for the Rangers game, a big game for us. We've not played such a big game for years. He says, right. He says, what's your budget? And I told him, he says, right, come up on the Friday. You'll get a dinner on the Friday night, pre-match meal on the Saturday, and you've got rooms because I've got plenty of spare rooms. I says, no, I want to come up on the Wednesday. And he laughed. He says, Jim, this is the Old Course Hotel. I says, I'm doing a favour for you, what you're going to pay. I said, Russ, listen to me. I'm bringing Dunfermline Football Club up here to play in one of the biggest games we've played for years against Glasgow Rangers. Graham Souness. The media will be all over this. I'll make sure the players do all the interviews up here at the Old Course Hotel. BBC, STV, Grampian TV will all be here. Saints and Greaves, national coverage will be here. All the national papers, photos, on site at the Old Course Hotel. Nobody's going off to do any publicity out with the Old Course Hotel. How much are you giving me to come? That's what I said to him. And he laughed. That's what I did. That was my thinking. And when I went to speak to the players, I says, guys, I can't pay you like Glasgow Rangers players as soon as guys. I can't pay you that. You know that. But I can treat you like them. Mm-hmm. because that's what you mean to me. And I went, I've got a deal, we're going away on the Wednesday. I took them up on the Wednesday. We played golf in the morning. We watched Scotland versus Malta, I'm sure, in the afternoon. The boys out at night, up the tune in St Andrews. I got a phone call for, I think, Stuart Beattie or Bobby Smith, I can't mind who it was. Gaffer, we're getting chuddy, can you get us a look in for a wee while for the extra hour? So I phoned the manager and says, look, there'll be no hassle. The boys will be fine. Can you give them a look in for an hour? And the boy says, no bother, Jim, we trust them. Great, and they come back and it was brilliant. My rules make it simple. I couldn't care what time you come in. Everybody, breakfast, everybody, 8 o'clock. One person, no there at 8 o'clock for their breakfast. As a team, you all get fined.
Yeah.
So what they're doing, if somebody's, come on, we'll be late, 8 o'clock. Never ever.
That togetherness, isn't it? So
Never ever did any of the players let me down. They were always on time.
yeah.
And then on the Thursday, we started up at St Andrews University. We started on the playground, the training ground up there. Terrific training facilities. And we started preparing for the game. And my talk that time was David and Goliath.
Yeah.
That's when I did the David and Goliath thing, where Goliath's coming through from Glasgow to give you a doing. And he says, but there's a wee boy called David in Dunfermline who stood up to him, took a step forward, fired the first shot. Goliath didn't expect it, didn't know what he'd do, hit him. And David won the battle. I want you to be like David and take a step forward. I'm not to retreat. I'm not to go back and just rely on defence. We'll have to defend like Trojans sometimes. We'll have to defend because they've got good players and whatever. But if you stand up there and the best form of defence is attack, let's get in there. Let's go forward and take them on.
Yeah.
And you want to hear what I gave the players? He believes we can do it.
Yeah.
The man, see, because if you think, let's go do this and do this, and you fear that.
You made them feel like they could win.
Aye, that was my job. Every game, and Ross Jack, at the roller coaster years at the Alhambra Theatre, Ross Jack said that, he says, no matter who we played on a Saturday at East End Park, no matter who it was, the manager made us feel as if we could win that game.
Yeah.
No matter who, at 3 o'clock.
A few of the other players we've spoken to have said the exact same. We've actually heard a couple of stories about Martin Luther King.
I did that.
Speeches,
That was
Robert the Bruce you've used, and then John Watson told us a story before about, used to say about the woman who was in the care home back at the stadium and dying wish.
John thinks as a kid on. I went to see her before, playing Arbroath, and she was on her deathbed, obviously, and she wanted to see me. And she said that, she says, look, Jim, I've been at Dunfermline, me and my husband have been in Dunfermline, I've not got many, she said, days, I've got, and you're playing my dying wishes. I wanted just the good news that Dunfermline's won. The last game, I was like, just tears are just. And I went and did that. I told them, the boys were all shit, shit. But it was the truth.
Yeah.
I told the true story about this. That's what it meant to that woman who was dying. Dunfermline winning. And the big winker to this day says, no, you made that up, man. You made that up. But they went out and they won, eh? They went out and won, and I was up the next day to tell her, but she had passed away during the night.
Sad. No pressure on you to win that game.
Oh, Mikey, but that's it.
Massive.
That's it. And I was trying to convince the boys that I'm telling the truth. Eh?
There's a question. You, even to this day, you're asked to go and see a lot of people who are very sick in hospital or represent the club or the council office at funerals. How do you cope with that? It's obviously a massive honour doing. So I experienced that a little bit myself when I worked at club and going to supporters' funerals. But it must be really hard, eh?
It's difficult, Mickey. I'm quite an emotional guy, believe it or not. You can in the football, your temperature and your blood pressure's way up high, but I'm quite an emotional guy. And sadly, the last person I went to see in the hospital was Willie Callaghan Jr. And I had a great hour and 20 minutes with him, just talking about, reminiscing about his career. And sadly, Willie passed away. But supporters, you go to funerals, Mickey, I've seen you there, and I've been there, and you get so much respect for it. Even I was through in Edinburgh at John Sweeney's, and I went up to Scone to see Bill Hunter, the chairman who gave me the job at Livingston. I went to pay my respects here because I appreciate that he gave me the opportunity. And John Sweeney was a legend, for the 61 team. These guys
Of course, yeah.
and they so well respect it. And these are the things you do. But it's hard when you go and see somebody you didn't know, and they've been adult, and they want to speak to you and say, look, and they've got their own stories.
Yeah.
But I just think that they've spent their time supporting me, whether it's been at Livingston or whether it's been at Dunfermline. They've supported me through my career. It's only my time that I'm giving up for them.
Yeah.
Which is my time's not a problem. It's the emotions that becomes a problem.
It's hard. It's an amazing thing you do, Jim.
Aye.
Superb. Going back to the football side, I wanted to kind of highlight your climax season at Dunfermline the first time, the 89-90 season. Whereas we topped the league in November. We signed Cosma, O'Boyle, Rugby. The squad's brilliant. There's a real feel-good factor. The crowds are massive. What's your memories of that season? That seems to be the season a lot of fans from that era speak about.
That's probably my best team in Dunfermline. That was probably my... Because you had Paul Smith, you had Ray Farningham, you had Davy Allen, all the boys. And they were all great. They were a great team. There was a great togetherness. And I remember it was my birthday on the day before or the day after. And we're through at Motherwell. And was it Cosma that scored?
No, Ross Jack.
Cosma passed it to him.
He crossed it in, I
He
think.
crossed it in, and Ross had a great season that year, and 1-1, and we topped the league. 4 days. That was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we played Herts on a Saturday. We got humped 4-0, but we're top of the league in November.
Amazing, eh?
Come on. Again, sometimes you get 2 or 3 games, you win the 2 or 3 games at the start of the season, and you're top of the league in goal difference or whatever. But in November, Christ, I hate to get the cutting of that. Top of the league
table. And that squad, you mentioned some of the names there. Any stories about your George Boyles or Ray Sharps, Davy Irons?
Was Raymond away at the time?
No, he
was still there. Coming through. Did Raymond make his debut that season against Hibs?
Season before.
I think,
yeah.
But good players. Think about it. You had Cosma, George Boyle, Ross Jack.
Just like
2 of them international players.
Yeah.
Ross Jack finished the second. John Robertson of Herts beat him as the Golden Boot in Scotland. What achievement for Ross Jack. And I see he's in the Hall of Fame this week. Well done to Ross. And it was just phenomenal. Okay, what they did until November, and then obviously the big boys, they're always going to overtake you, long term. But to do that, and we survived that season,
which was the aim, wasn't it?
That was ultimately. Well, I like to think we were better than that, but we stayed up and we were strengthening the game.
I've asked that a couple of the players from that kind of time. Do you think that group of players underachieved that season?
No, there are a lot of good teams, Mikey. Aberdeen was stronger. Dundee United was stronger. Rangers and Celtic were always strong. So there's 4 teams. Hearts were a strong team. So, were we 4th?
I think we were only maybe 6 points off finishing 4th in the league. It was really tight.
So that's no underachievement, Mikey. You can let's get real here. That was phenomenal. But there were a lot of good teams at the time, and you had the Sooners Revolution and all this came in, and Celtic responded.
Stronger,
But the Celtic responded to that. So it was some great games.
Brilliant. You mentioned his name earlier, Ian Munro, who came in. And obviously that was your last season at the club. There was a lot of grumblings. And then at the end of that season, what's your memories of how that all kind of come
I knew there was a problem, Mikey. I went on holiday with my wife. We were in Cyprus, and Milos Djidzik.
Yeah, big centre-half.
The big centre-half. Now, I think I contacted Blair Morgan and said to Blair, look, this boy's available. And I was going to go across to see him in Spain. He played with Mallorca or something like this. But the game, or he wasn't playing, so I didn't go. But I went down, there was a guy who was taking Yugoslavian players to Herts at the time. So I went and seen him and talked to him, and he gave me the manager of Yugoslavia's number. And they all spoke really good English, so I phoned him up and he says, look, his best season's been behind him, he thinks. He said, personally, he wasn't going to take a chance on the boy. Then I was away across and I got a text, an email or whatever, a text, saying that they had signed him. I says, oh, I've got a problem here. And when I come back, I found out what the problem was. Wasn't he happy, obviously?
Yeah.
They asked me to stay and do this job and that job, and I says, no.
Just wasn't for you.
No.
And obviously what followed in the summer that year, the big protests and lots
amazing.
of supporters stopped going. What was that like for you and your family at that point?
Well, Mary took Jamie in, and did she take Kate into Dunfermline to see it? And she phoned me and says, oh wow, this is amazing, Jim, what the people are doing for you here. I got the police officer in charge.
Yeah.
He phoned me up and says, Jim, if you come near the town centre the day, I'm going to arrest you, because there'll be a riot. I says, look, no problem. And then I met the fans on the Sunday doing it at the public park, and there was quite a lot turned out. And I just asked, I can remember asking them, there was a tear in my face, I says, look, what's happened, happened. What's happened's happened, I says. It's not going to change. Please keep supporting Dunfermline Athletic.
Yeah.
The team's more important than anybody. So, and I asked them to do that. But a lot of the boys didn't come back. It took us years and years and years for them to come back. The Flemings and the Berkeley Travel Club, a lot
of supporters clubs just
stopped.
Disbanded after that, didn't they? I think we had 28 supporters clubs.
Unbelievable, Mickey, because when I started there was only 2, maybe 3. You had the Jubilee, the Fairmont Official Supporters Club, and the Pitbalky Shee. Or was it Jubilee the Official Supporters Club?
I think it was, and then it disbanded maybe and created the 2, I think, maybe at one point.
So, and then, my God.
Incredible, eh?
Incredible to get that. And the crowds, you showed 13,000. And they were coming every week, buses, it was great.
And the important thing was, it wasn't just supporters' buses from Dunfermline.
No.
They were from Kirkcaldy, Kinross, Perth, weren't they? They were from Edinburgh. They were from all the place.
Was it the all great tune? You had Kirkcaldy, you had JTs, and...
Parasites, I think, were one of the Kirkcaldy ones.
Parasites was a great names, and what was the one in Kingby? There were 2 in Kingby. There was one in Dunfermline's JTs, and the one the junction at the top. And because they had all the supporters, man, it was amazing. Will we get that back again? I don't know.
Let's hope so.
I hope so. So they are. But no, it was an amazing time. It's a sad time. It's a sad time for me, Mikey, because you know I felt I was building something, and after that it just didn't work out for Dunfermline. It was crazy.
Yeah, reflecting back on the protest and that whole part, someone that was instrumental in all that was Stuart Adamson.
Oh.
So, have you got any stories and what's your memories of
I can
pals
mind-
with Stuart?
Jimmy, Mr Waters was the chairman, and he says, Jim, and the club was struggling for money at the time. I think their budget was £20,000. £20,000 was their overdraft limit. Can you imagine that, Mickey? 20 grand. And at the time, I was trying to sign Alan Forsyth. Andy Young again. I was looking for a bit of experience at the back. And he says, Alan Forsyth, Raith Rovers, Elvis, who the players loved him, And I think it was 1,500 quid, Raith Rovers. And it took me 3 weeks to get 1,500 quid to bring him in, That's the situation at the time. But so Mr Waters said to me, Jim, Stuart Adamson, big guy, he's a Dunfermline supporter. Do you think he'd be interested in joining the board? So I went down and I met him. It was a Monday night, I can't mind, and we had a couple of pints in somewhere else. We were sitting and we were talking away about how he played for the Flood at the time, and I was sitting there laughing. Cravat boy at the fit boy, and but he loved the Pars and his son Callum and that. And I says, Stuart, what do you think? I've been asked to ask you, would you like to join the board? A fresh face, and you know you're very successful. The community will join in with you and whatever. Can you imagine me sitting in the director's box on a Saturday and the referee makes a mistake? Come on, ref, be fair. He says, no, I'm over there shouting, hey, you get the swearing. He said, up. He says, no. So that was an interesting meeting with Stuart.
Brilliant.
But he used to phone me. Stuart used to phone me when he was on tour. What was it? The Sear album, when they did the Sear History. What was the History song?
I'm not too familiar with that album.
The Sear, the rehearsed at East End.
Yeah.
The rehearsed at East End, that was a great week for me.
How did that come about? Did they approach you?
Just a meeting. Just a meeting. They were rehearsing in London, costing a fortune. I said, Stuart, I've got a big gymnasium. Come down and see it. Come down with Bruce Watson. Him and Bruce come down and see it. He says, this is ideal. Rehearsals, he says, can we bring our stuff? I says, take it. He said, what's it cost? I says, I didn't gain. What do you pay in London? He says, give me some what you pay. But no. And I think he gave us 1,500 quid for rehearsal, which was, well, that would pay for all for side.
Aye.
So they come in and all this stuff. They got a guy, the sound guy, the soundboard, what do you call him?
Aye, like all the tech stuff.
Aye.
The mixing deck.
He come from Los Angeles, this top guy. So this was going on. Look Away, that's the song. Look Away, that was on it. And
brilliant song, yeah.
And I'm in. And Stuart Adams, when they finished his rehearsal, they had all the soft drinks, water, juice, and no alcohol in there, nothing. Just that. And so they would all get Mark Garokowicz, or what you call him, and Tony, Bruce, and Stuart, and the rest. And that was great. And then Stuart wanted to just go out and get a ball and shoot into the goals. After that, that's what he did.
Amazing, eh? There's a few pictures of that actually.
Great. And they rehearsed, and that was it. Great.
And then
I met him.
Local bands then started using it. So it was an income stream for the.
Yeah, they were coming in to rehearse, and we did. That's where they rehearsed. White China was one of them.
Aye. The Syndicate.
That was two of the boys. The Dunfermline supporters.
Aye.
It was great to come in and rehearse.
And talk about these bands. I want to rewind a little bit. The EastEnders riff.
The EastEnders.
Tell us about the EastEnders and how that all come about.
Well, Blair Morgan and his son wrote this. It was Dunfermline's centenary year, and it was the EastEnders' first anniversary. The EastEnders show. It was their very first year, and they thought we'd release a song about the East End. We're the boys from East End Park, and we got invited down to. Well, before we got invited down to Pebble Mill at 1, we had to go to Edinburgh to cut the disc. It sounds professional. To cut the disc, and the boys didn't ken the words. None of them, and half of them couldn't sing. I can't sing. The half of them couldn't sing. But we went across and we had the sheet, and we cut the disc. The boys were fair chuffed when we did it. They were all enjoying it. And we went down to Pebble Mill at 1. We did the Pebble Mill at 1, and the next day we went to Aston Villa's training ground. Alan Evans was at Aston Villa, and he allowed us to train there, which was great. It was good to see him. And I can mind going in, right, to the show. And Big John and Wally had rather too much to drink the night before, so I didn't allow them on. But I'll let Big Winker tell you that story. But the problem we had, we all thought we were going down, they'd put the disc on, we would mime or sing along to the disc. You wouldn't hear us, they would turn us off, but we'd be singing to the disc. And that's it. The punters would hear the music and the song it sounded all right. But no, the musicians complained because we were doing them out a job. You know, they were professional musicians, and if we put the disc on, they wouldn't get to play, they wouldn't get paid. So we had to wait on them. So they got the words, they did it, and it come do 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 do, and no. So they had to speed up and everything. So there was a floor manager, brilliant, Stevie Morrison, brilliant Stevie. We're on the floor, and he says, right, this is where you line up. I'll give you a countdown. 1 minute. So that we get ready. 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. Then I'll be my fingers 2, and I'll point, and that she's on. Well, she got down in the rehearsal. She got down 5, 4, 3, 2, and she pointed. Well, Stevie Morrison farted. Oh yeah, You've got a live audience. Anna Wing, who was in the EastEnders, and all the live audience there, got the Dunfermline scarf. They're going to and we're all, I'm trying to climb our bodies to punch Steve in the chin. And Steve, he's got that wee sully face. Oh, Gaffer, and that's what he goes like, oh, Gaffer, I did it. He came, brilliant, but funny. It's one of these moments that you'll never create again. And everybody laughed, everybody. And when it come to the rehearsal, I'm just waiting, Stevie, don't you dare. We sang it, And then we went training, and then on the Friday, I got interviewed. We're playing Wraith Rovers on the Saturday, and the reporter says, Jim, will you be singing EastEnders on Saturday? I says, aye, if we're 2-0 up, I'll get the credit. Well, because Big Winker scored 2 goals. We're 1-2 now, and I'm out the dugout. And the Dunfermline fans are all singing at the Dunfermline end. And the referee booked me and signed trouble. I says, you're joking, I'm trying to sing, man. And we drew 2-2. Wee Billy Hirdink scored, and Paul Smith maybe, for his Rovers. I can't mind who it was with. So we drew 2-2, but that was great, getting booked.
It's worth it though, eh?
Oh, it was fun. The fans were brilliant.
See that kind of, it was a big part of your time, the PR side. Mm. So obviously that was a great PR tapping on the whole EastEnders.
Everything.
Was that something that came natural to you? Obviously there was the famous cowboy photo after the Rangers game, and there was loads of
But you came what the cowboy photo was, Mikey. That was nothing to do with football. Nothing to do with that. My wife was, they were in Calamity Jane, and that was Wild Bill Hickok. So I was actually out there with a cowboy hat, the big cigar, with a gun and all like this, and I was promoting Kelly Musical to get them publicity about the show. That's all I was trying to do. And then, Christ almighty, that went viral, that stupid thing. It was a good laugh.
Brilliant PR though.
Oh, it was great, because people took it for the football. Mm-hmm. We were going to gun them down and all this. And that was the big shooters and all this. So we got some good, great.
Did that come natural to you?
Oh,
you don't even have to think about the PR stuff and coming up with to get coverage in the papers.
It didn't bother me. Mickey, we had to do something early on to get the fans. I had to convince the fans that we're building a good team here. Come on, come back and help us.
But that's not something every football manager could be capable of. You just had that skill set to.
I just enjoyed doing it, Mikey. Just meeting the people, and I enjoyed when I saw the crowds going up. How do you think I feel I felt as good as the players when I walked out and see all this. The same when I went back with 3 games to go. They were averaging 4,000 people, 4,500. I went my first game back that year. There was 8,500 turned up. Did they turn up to see me? Maybe some of them, but they turned up to say hi, and I convinced them, we need you now. That photograph, we need you now, eh?
Yeah.
And they turned out. And then the one at Tannadice, I don't know if we'll touch on that later on, but phenomenal achievement for the boys.
Amazing. Like I say, we'll touch on that in a wee while, but after your time at Dunfermline, that obviously difficult spell in 1990, you have stints at Inverness and then Montrose, which were really difficult. Why did those not work out for you? It
worked out at Inverness for me, Mikey.
Right.
Mikey, I lost my first 2 games, 4-0 and 5-0 at Inverness. Then I won 10 games out of 10, 30 points out of 30. Signed Willie Callaghan, young Willie Junior, and a boy called Willie Spence for Rosyth, who was a Scottish international, junior international. 2 good players. Willie became a star in Inverness. Goals galore. They loved them. So, and I got them to the Inverness Cup final. And I think we zoomed up the league. We were team of the month 3 times after the first 2 games. 30 points. And my second game was up at Dingwall. We got beat for Bobby Wilson was the manager, who I gave a job to at Dunfermline, and he went up. We got beat 5-0. And my 10th game at Kingsmill was against Ross County again. We beat them 1-0. So that was the difference. That was the turnaround. So I did well.
We are Flow Digital Pharmacy, and we are proud to sponsor the Walking Down the Holbeath Road podcast. Our easy-to-use app is a convenient way to access your NHS prescription medication, and our team of trained pharmacists are helping thousands of people to access the support and medication they need. If you're registered with a GP who's based in England, you can use the Flow app to securely and conveniently send them NHS medication requests and arrange delivery to a location of your choice at a time that suits you. This means you can avoid the hassle of contacting your GP and making unnecessary round trips to eventually collect your prescription. Find out more at weareflow, spelled PHLO. That's weareflow.com.
If I hadn't done well at Inverness, Mickey, I wouldn't have got offered the job at Montrose if I was a failure. No, they were so sad to see me go.
You weren't there long, were you?
One season.
Was that your decision, or?
Oh, it was me.
Was it the travelling aspect?
No. Went up on a Monday, come back on a Wednesday night. Because they trained on Monday and Wednesdays. And I did a bit of commercial work for them on the Tuesday. Just as far to go to Montrose, Mikey.
Yeah. We'll touch on Montrose next, but linking into that, what you just said there about you were up north half the week, every week. How did football management impact on your family life? It must have been so difficult to have that balance, because you can never switch off, can you?
No. Monday to Wednesday it was all right. So you had Thursday and Friday, you weren't doing anything. Saturday, I went up on the Saturday, come back. And Mary and that, she was used to it. Most of her married life, she was used to me going up. But she enjoyed the success as well, Mickey. She would come up to Inverness. She would come up to see some of the games and enjoy it. She would enjoy meeting the people, Inverness people. And so it was never an issue. I think once I had a chance of going down south to York City. But the kids had just started Kate had just got into that, and Jamie was just starting the primary school, so that was why. And I was enjoying Dunfermline, so there was no need to go.
So then Montrose, touch on Montrose. So how's your spell at Montrose, and how did it work for you?
That didn't work well. It didn't. Great chairman, Brian Keith, Bonaccord Glass, and I was disappointed. We got to the semi-final of the Challenge Cup, got beat off in Morton. Doing it Greenock, and I think it was penalties, or extra time. We got to extra time, I know that. David Latter, the goalie of Montrose, was brilliant. The youth team, I started a youth team, but Walker McCall was in charge of it, ex-Aberdeen, and we got to the semi-final of the Youth Cup. We got beat off of Herts, 7-0, who went on to win it. They had other great players at the time that were coming out of the first team, I think. 8 of them went into the first team, but we got to the semi-final, which was a great achievement again. 3 of the boys, I think, went into the first team, which was major. But first, in the league games, it just didn't work out. And during that time, I got offered the Cowdenbeath job. Gordon McDougall come to see me at Cowdenbeath. And when I stayed in Cowdenbeath, Jim, do you fancy? I said, Gordon, if I get beat 2 or 3 games on the trot at Cowdenbeath, away your townie and all this, so I didn't want to do it. I never said nothing, and at the end of it, me and the kids were going to America. We're going to America for a holiday, Florida with the Bairns, and there was £1,500 in dollars in an envelope for the chairman, Jim. I says, why you give me that? What's this about? He says, you didn't tell me about Cowdenbeath. I says, why didn't I have to? If I come and say to you about Cowdenbeath, you would think I'm wanting a rise in wages. I said, there's nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. He wanted me to stay, Mikey. But I wasn't enjoying it. Wally Callaghan, who I signed for 15 grand for Inverness, because Wally was a huge success in Inverness. I loved them. The Gallop and Gal. And scoring for fun. I bought him for 1,500 for Kelty here, Selton, or I bought him for Montrose for 15,000 after a year. So great, they got money out of Inverness. And so the biggest transfer ever in the Highland League for a fullback, 12,000, Ballyskinner, £12,000 for Inverness, Thistle to Inverness Calais. Ballyskinner, good player. I wouldn't want to let him go, and I was playing hardball with him, so I got him up to 12 grand. And great, so 27,000 I made. And 2 deals, but they were delighted. And I went, but it didn't work out in Montrose. And you put your hand up, Didn't work out for Davy Hay at Dunfermline. Put your hand up, Jim, it's no work too. I went to Lahore for 10 games. Lahore Welfare, my pals, ran at Kenny McGurk. And he says, Jim, Billy Davis has parked in. No done well, will you take her? And I knew some of the boys, And I says, I'll help them the last time. And they wanted me to stay. I says, no, I'm not staying. But I think I got beat 2 games and won the 8. It's just all right. Then I stopped, and that was me finished. And then Rosyth Rec asked me, Charlie Crawford, says, Jim, and Bertie and Dick had just left there and to take up the Dunfermline job. So I says, why not, I'll do it. But again, I was just finishing off that year. 3 cup finals, I got them to 3 cup finals. I got beat for Halibeath in the 3 cup finals. They were by far the better team. But I got them to 3 cup finals. I couldn't believe it. And we got beat in the 3 cup finals. And then I got the phone call for Bill Hunter, Meadowbank, to go and take Meadowbank. That's all. For 2 months or whatever, a month, 6 weeks, I can't mind. And then the rest is at Livingston.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a wee while. But a couple of other questions I'm going to ask. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing football today? Just put a wee curveball in there, Jim.
Biggest challenges is getting the people to come back and support their team. They'll come back for the big games, a big cup game, but getting them there on a Saturday. You know, every team has the potential. Dunfermline's a huge potential to get the gates up, and they're starting to improve now because you're winning, which is a major thing to attract players. You've got to do that. Getting sponsorships, big sponsorships. I can put a group of people together to buy a football team. I can do that and get people like, but that, what happens after you buy them is the secret. Where can you get money then to keep putting in? Because very rarely you can take out. It's for the enjoyment, and you've got to have lots of money to do that. So it's getting investors that can. You know, at Livingston, we've got people. It wasn't dear to buy the club, but to take it to where it went, it was needed investment. So you're getting good investors, people that have money that they can, if there is a hard time, that's not going to affect, paying people off for administration, that they can go through the bad times to get to the good times.
And especially in Scottish football, there's so little money, isn't there?
Not very much.
TV deals and sponsorship, it's very difficult.
Difficult to get money. You can get your advertising boards, Mikey, and, I didn't know what Dunfermline paid. At my time, I think it was £400 a board, and I hardly had a board. And I can remember Alec Ferguson saying, when we played them in the centenary game, he come down and says, Jim, what a great job you've done, the boards, look at this, it looks really good, all the sponsors and everybody coming back to it. And because we were they saw the potential, so you're getting that. It never keeps you afloat, but it adds to it, And you need a lot of good backing in the community. And now we're a city, hopefully they support the team,
I think so. I'm pretty confident it's going to increase.
Aye.
Back to the questions. How important is team culture and morale to the success of a football team? And how did you deal with people who were perhaps negative in the dressing room?
No, you didn't deal with them very long. Everybody got a chance with me, Mikey. Right, to answer your last question first. No, and if they wouldn't want to be part of it, out, cheerio. Why are they negative? One, they're not getting a game. Whose fault is that? Theirs. So they had to sort the selling before coming and be negative. That's the only ones that were negative. At Livingston, right, we had honesty meetings. We would get all the players together, right, doors shut, what's the problems? What do we need to solve? The first one, the training. Me and we were in charge of what we were doing. So how's that a problem? Well, we used to get quick feet we used to get stamina work and we felt strong. Now we're getting quick, high tempo stuff and that's great, but so the training's not right. Easy solved. We'll introduce more stamina work. Hey, get rid of the problem. one of them was, I'm not getting my expenses. Now, all the teams there, the financial lassie was there, she was in the meetings. Jesse, how you know paying him? Well, if he reads it, he's got to have his expenses in by the 17th of the month and he'll get paid. He's put them in on the 19th, 2 days later, it's done. So he's not getting paid because it's too late. You'll get the next one.
So addressing the problems head on straight away.
That's the easy solutions to the problems. So you're reducing all the problems. What you concentrate on then? Saturday, 3 o'clock. The food.
How did you find dealing with, obviously there's the football side, the tactical side, preparing for matches, but on the flip side you've got players who maybe have mental health issues or issues at home, or how was that as a manager trying to, obviously your management skills are well known, so
that's an individual case, Mikey. You know, you didn't go to an honesty meeting and say, hey Mikey, what's the matter with you? What your mental attitude, what are you? You know, no. That's a different game. If you find out somebody's got a problem, right? And you always find out if there's a... But very rarely during my time, Mikey, I had to deal with that. Come in, is it a financial problem? That was it. I can't handle the money and I'm not getting enough, I'm getting myself into debt. That was out. That caused mental health. That mental attitude that, you know, like alcoholism. I had 2 players that were alcoholics. And both of them, glad to say, have got through that problem. John Dunley, great player at Dunfermline, had a drink problem. The guy, Andy McLaren, is it Andy?
At Dundee United?
Aye.
Yeah. Did you have him at Livingston?
Raymond Stewart had him at Livingston, and he had a problem. But they've got through that, and they're putting someone back in the community. So that was how I was. And when I was younger, I didn't know how to handle all that. You had to go and get advice and whatever, because it's a special technique. But you're always there. If you avoid it and you didn't talk to each other about it, you can never solve it. So I was a great communicator with them. Right, come here. We have a problem here. How can I help you? What can we do? How do you think you can get? What do you need? And you give them that support, Mikey. I was a great person for supporting them all.
Yeah. It's
and
a
helping
vital
them
part
out.
of the management.
Finances sometimes became a wee problem that, look, they want to do this and whatever, and you would say, right, how can I help you? Bump. We'll sign you again for next year because you was going to anyway, and you'll get a wee help that way early on. So, but I was quite good at it, Mikey. I worked with disabled people before I became a manager at Cowdenbeath Job Centre. People with, and I was taught, it's not what you can't do, it's what you can do. So, and these people deserved an opportunity to be the best they could be, and that was a great learning curve before I became a manager. So, hey, right, you can't do that. But what can we do to help satisfy what you want to do? And I just got stuck into that. But if I'm being honest, I didn't have loads of problems. Not loads and loads.
Yeah.
More so at Livingston when you went back up again.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Well, I'm going to touch on Livingston. So you joined Livingston, Meadowbank in the early days, and then this new club's created and they move out to Livingston and Almond Vale's built. What was it like in the early days? What was the ambitions of Livingston for you?
Oh, well, my ambitions for Livingston, Meadowbank, I went to see the project at Livingston when they were still erecting. Right, they were just building the stadium. It wasn't complete or anything. And I went with the chairman at the time, Bill Hunter, and he showed me. And he's the team in West Lothian, professional team. You had Hibs and Hearts, Edinburgh. You had Motherwell, Hamilton, Albion, all the teams that side, Falkirk, whatever. But then West Lothian's a big place, so we're the only team. I said, that's an amazing start to have you. You've got this West Lothian to target. You're never going to convert the Hearts and Hibs for that side. But so I saw that potential. My first game at Meadowbank, Dumbarton, and I'm in the dressing room and I'm doing my chat and meeting the players. I knew a lot of the players, but meeting them, and they were going to get relegated. But I says, right, it's important for me to find out about them, to see who I'm keeping and who I'm not keeping. So we went out, and there was a big dispute at the time for the old Meadowbank supporters wouldn't want to leave the Commonwealth Stadium to go to Livingston, and they were all anti going through. I didn't realise how bad it was. So when I walked out, I'm clapping the fans, and they're all booing, and I'm saying, what the hell's that about? But I forgot that Dumbarton played in the same colours as Meadowbank Thistle, so I'm clapping here the Dumbarton and waving to the Dumbarton supporters. They're all giving me the finger and booing, and I thought, then I realised, I says, oh, Christ, that's the Dumbarton supporters. They had silly talk. But 1-1, Jason Young scored. We beat Murdo McLeod was in charge of Dumbarton. So that was it. But again, the issues at early doors at Meadowbank, some players, I can't come in to train on a Thursday. How no? It's my wife's bingo night. That was one of them. So I says, look, that's not good to me. So if you go and get yourself a team. And away he went, got a team. And boys were... I understood how they could get relegated. But then it was through at Almondvale, build my own team. Brought Willie Callaghan down. Willie did
Who was important for you in those early days, player-wise?
Gordon McLeod.
Right.
Poodle played with Dundee United, a bad injury there, but he came. He was Stuart Williamson. Excellent. Rob Douglas was a goalie. Horace Stout, the goalie, great. Rob, I got £110,000 for him to Dundee. Cowboy, McCormack signed him, and the winger. A lot of good players.
Oh, Chris Sinclair at the club.
Sinky was it? He was great. I think he won the 3rd division. Then he moved on. But young Sinky was a good player. I gave him his debut at Dunfermline, so I enjoyed that.
So Livingston, you spent 8 years at Livingston, and the rise from the division, like you say, fairy tale stuff.
Oh, it was great.
So what's your memories looking back at the dream come true at Livingston?
Oh, it was unbelievable, Mike. Honestly, unbelievable to go in and the very first game at Almondvale, it was Celtic, 4,100 people turned up to see what was happening. We never won a game until in November or something. But November, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. My first season, we were doing great. We were beating teams at Meadowbank in the cup. We went up to one of my first games was Montrose in the cup up there, and I said to George McNeil, I says, George, I had a hard time at Montrose. I didn't do well. So if I want to shout something, you go out and shout the players. Best signing I ever made, George McNeil at Meadowbank and Livingston. He was there 9 years or 10. Great. Ask him, George, go on 2 games, assess their fitness for me. Have a look at their fitness and see if I can improve it. And he went and did that, gave you a great report. And I said to him, George, I want you to be my assistant manager. Jim, I've never been in that. I said, George, you're the world champion. Who's not going to listen to you about fitness? You get them fit and I'll do the rest, and the two of us will work together. Mm-hmm. You've got the greatest respect for folk, man. And you played with Hibs, Morton and still in that. But come on, let's go and let's see where we can go. And come on, great.
Moving to Almondvale and 4,000 people there.
The first game at Almondvale, sellout. But we couldn't win. We never got beat, but we couldn't win at Almondvale. But anyway, we got it sorted out. We got one in. We won the league my first year, the 3rd division. And amazingly, I just kept saying, I learned from Livingston. I learned from Dunfermline for Livingston because one mistake I made, I took a lot of the players to the Premier League with me that had come for the 2nd division first to the Premier, who had never let me down. It's been great, but it was just a journey too far for them, and for different reasons, But I spoke to him and says, look, I'm not going to sign you again. This is Dunfermline, but you're not leaving here as a failure, that's for sure. Look what you just achieved. But I'm bringing my own boys on. That's when Cosma arrived, Rose Jack, George O'Boyle, all the boys to take us there. So I learnt that at Livingston. So when I moved up the leagues, I started bringing better players in, and we won the third, the second, the first division, the January sales. We played Raith Rovers on the Saturday. We got humped 4-1 or something. Marvin Andrews, Stephen Tosh, all the Raith Rovers hammered us. I got a phone call on the Monday, a strange phone call on the Monday for the chairman of Raith Rovers. I didn't realise that we were having a hard time. And the chairman of Raith Rovers was just trying to save the club. He was trying to save them. Financially, they were doomed, he says, well. And he says, right, Jim, what players would you like? I says, what do you mean? He says, pick some players and we'll see if we can get a deal. And I says, right, okay. Martin Andrews gave us a price. I'm like this, astounded. Because they were big wages for them, eh? They were trying to get, it wasn't just a signing off or the transfer fee, I was getting rid of that amount of money. He says, right, who else was? Alec Burns, Toasty, the striker. He was the top scorer in that division for 2 years. Brought him, and then anybody else, I says, I quite like Stephen Tosh. Right. So I phoned them all. Look, I've done a deal with the club. If you want to come through, I'm not to talk to your agents. That's what you're all getting offered. You're all getting offered the same. If you want to sign for Livingston, because we're going places, you come through. So they came through in the afternoon. Deal was done, and we went and won the first division. Brought in Fernandez for Airdrie, Brotto for Airdrie. So that was like 5 boys to strengthen the push. Oh, great.
Who was your best signing for Livingston?
Oh, Fernandez.
Fernandez.
Oh, no do. Martin Andrews. But Fernandez was superb for Livingston. Twice when he went to Celtic and come back. 4-year contract he got after a season and a bit. Martin O'Neill signed him. Fantastic.
A brilliant player, wasn't he?
Oh, great.
So you rise up through the divisions, you get to the Premier League, or the SPL as it was called at the time. You finished third.
Aye.
First season.
Can you believe it?
How did you achieve that? How could you pinpoint? What did you do? Just create a good squad. Is that what it was?
Signing good players, mate. That's what I did at Dunfermline. That's how I got them up. John Watson said that. I always said that. Right? You didn't sign good players when you're struggling, because it might not work out because they're joining a struggling team. When you're doing well, bring them in, and that makes the ones that are doing well. I better keep doing well because there are boys coming in to take my place. How do you think Dunfermline players felt? Right, Cosma was getting more wages than them all because Hungary International, but that's when we're getting 13,500. Cosma played a big. I think he increased the gates by about 1,500. Increased them, but that just to see them.
Yeah.
It was great, and we did that at Livingston. But we just gave them the belief. We had all the meetings. They got treated properly. They got great bonuses for achievement, eh? And I never say to them, let's finish second bottom at Livingston. No.
What was they in that season?
They finished about 8th.
Right.
Finish about 8th. 7th or 8th. And then if we achieve that, we can say, right, let's go to the top 6. Well, we're going to the top 6, but I didn't think we were ever out the top 6 all season. So when the top 6 come, my first game was Celtic at Parkgate. Celtic won the league that day. They beat us 5-1 or something. Aberdeen up there, who were challenging, Scoverdale, they were challenging to get finished third. And we got beat 2-0 up there, but we still had 3 games to go. If we won the 3 games, boys, so it was always positive. Win the 3 games, Rangers at Almond Vale, Dunfermline at East End, and Hearts at Tank. If we win the 3, we can finish third top. We beat Rangers 2-1. Amaruso scored first, and Stuart Lovell scored, and somebody else. An overhead kick for Stuart Lovell, brilliant. Went to East End, we beat East End, beat Dunfermline 4-1, I think. Jimmy Calder was...
That was a strong Dunfermline team.
Strong team, we beat them 4-1, and Hearts 3-2.
Amazing, eh?
The last 3 games.
And then European football. What was that like?
That was great. What an experience, man. Livingston, you know what I mean? It's just a wee team to start, and coming up, we're the 3rd best team in Scotland for a year. Celtic, Rangers, Livingston. Unbelievable, Mikey. And The first game was Vaduz for Liechtenstein. We drew her there. We drew them 1-1 over there, and we came here, we drew nothing. Away goals, we got through them, we got Sturm Graz, we had beat Rangers 5-0 the year before. So that was a big game. We got beat 5-2 over there and won 4-3 here, 8-6 on aggregate. We'd never got beat Almondvale.
A clean European record for Livingston. A clean record.
At home.
At home, aye.
No bad, eh?
Class, mate. Class.
And it's great. And then I got the next year I got the call back for the next year we survived the next year, fourth I think, fourth of the bottom.
You started losing players by then, because bigger teams were coming in.
Fernandes went, Martin Andrews went, Brotto went, a lot of the poor Kino, best player in the midfielder in the Premier League that year. Best player I'm telling you.
The boy Rubio was class as well.
Oscar Rubio. He went away and came back. He 19-year-old, he played for Real Madrid in the Spanish Cup final. 19. He'd lost his way a bit, went to Portugal and but then he made Marvin Andrews that season. He kept Marvin hard as nails today.
The boy called Branquan as well with
Philippe Branquan, the right back, Gary Boland left back. No bad, solid
team, aye.
And solid defenders. And David Bingham, Barry Wilson, Stephen Tosh, Fernandes.
Nathan Lowndes was up.
Nathan didn't do that great,
aye.
But he was a decent boy, great. Who else played up front? The Canadian boy. I didn't see eye to him.
Marino Keith.
He was there. He was earlier. He wasn't in that team. But there was a boy. Oh, I can't remember. But
yeah, built a great team though.
Oh, great team. Great team.
And then just after that, Jim, in June 2003. No, was it June 2003? You moved up the stair at Livingston, right saying, and then in May 2003, you got approached for the Dunfermline?
Well, I moved for a year.
Right.
At Livingston when they were in the second division. Then after that, it went wrong for Raymond Stewart. Raymond did a great job, and then they put me back in charge.
Yeah.
Then Davy Hay come in.
Yeah.
And then I got approached after that. So it was only a season up there, and that's when they were building all the extensions. And Dominic, I couldn't believe what he said. Jim, look, I need you. I says, no, I need you to help me with the project. So I was going round checking it, making sure everyone was getting built right. So it was quite an important job. I was quite, Christ. And Dominic says, honest, Christ, I've got a £60,000 pay rise. Eh? And one afternoon, what do? You turn it down? No. And then Raymond come in, and I liked Raymond. It was me that gave him the job. But it didn't work out. Although he won the second division, it wasn't working out and got put back in.
Aye.
And we won the first division.
The success.
And that was huge success.
But then after...
And Davey, he was a great... him and I got on great.
So how did the return to Dunfermline come about? Was that an easy decision for you to come back? Because obviously Livingston at that point, everyone's going brilliant. You've just been in Europe. But
no, Livingston they were losing all the good players, Mikey. And I knew there was going to be a turnaround there. At that time, I knew what was happening, and they brought a Brazilian coach in, and I says, "No, I'm away." And I was at the sportsman's dinner on the park, the big marquee. I was a guest, and then Gavin Marston says, "Oh, Jim," and I got a great reception when I think Bert Al was. I got a great reception, and Gavin Marston said to me, "Jim, your home is Dunfermline." Well, I didn't want to leave. He says, "I know the story," and blah blah blah. I had a meeting with John Yorkson. John Yorkson, I was a year away from my testimonial at Livingston. So I would have got a great bit. Dunfermline the call, and I says, "Look, John, I've got a testimony." He says, "Stay 5 years, Jim. Give us 5 more years, and what you've done before in the 5 more years, you'll get your testimonial." I didn't think Gavin Marston found out about that.
No.
Sort of crazy. So, but that was history.
So you come back to Dunfermline as general manager at the time.
Whatever it was.
You were doing a bit of everything.
I didn't want to get called director of football because I knew that Jimmy Calderwood wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy was his own man, and he was the one to come to me to this and that and that and that and that. And I didn't want that hassle because I wasn't there to interfere with Jimmy Calderwood stuff. Jimmy was doing all right at the time. Spent a lot of money, Jimmy.
The club was on a high at that point, wasn't it?
Well,
good players coming in. And
I tried to sign Craig Brewster for Livingston when I was at Livingston, and I couldn't afford them because Dunfermline were paying another 500 quid or something. And I offered them, or we offered his agent a lot of money, and Dunfermline outbid us.
Yeah.
So that was the problem later on. Just when I come in, but when I came back 6 months later, that's when I had to go and tell the players, look lads, you have to take a cut. You're not getting appearance money. You're not getting this and that. And I'm saying off. I didn't realise all this was going to go on.
Must have been hard to deal with that if you're having to front that up.
Well, I didn't create the problem, Mikey.
There was some highs, obviously, in that period. We got to the cup final.
Oh, great.
2004. Tremendous.
Great. I did semi-final. Barry Nicholson's goal was amazing goal.
Yeah.
Wonderful goal.
Well, we finished fourth in the league that season as well. Outside Hearts were third.
Great.
Incredible achievement. So a lot of money was getting spent, like you say. But
good
it was a
players.
brilliant time as a supporter.
Great. But no enough of yous.
Aye.
No enough supporters for fourth top, and you were averaging 4,500, Mikey. Mental.
I know. Just wasn't happening off the park.
Livingston, third top, and we were averaging 8,500 at 10,400 stadium. And you're averaging 8,500 at Almond Vale. Mm-hmm. The sponsorship we were getting, Mitsubishi Electrics, NEC, them. Motorola, that's who it was. It wasn't NEC. You're getting huge companies weighing the dough in because they're getting great publicity. I had the Motorola phones, can they be phones? Because it was like Star Trek. Bring me aboard, Scotty. Yeah, hello, the wee phones. I was getting the newest models every time because I was promoting them. It was great.
Brilliant. Going back to the Dunfermline thing, Jimmy Calderwood leaves after that. David Hay comes in. It doesn't quite work. You then get the shout to get back in the dugout. How did all that go?
It was sad. A wee regret. Ian, for the commercial office, Ian was working, and Rodney Shearer, they come and says, Jim, what about on Saturday, you and I, Rodney, will go and sit with the fans and try and encourage them to do well, playing Livingston, believe it or not. So I agreed to do that, and I regret doing that because...
I think it was disrespectful to Davy.
Well, when I look back, I would never be disrespectful to Davy Hay.
Of course.
Because I helped him get the job.
Yeah.
But it's the wrong thing to do. I should have been there and especially with Davy getting beat 2-0.
Yeah.
And I regret doing that. And I said that to Davy. I says, Davy. And he says, no, Jim, whatever. Didn't affect the result. We got beat 2-0 and he got the second on Monday. And to be fair to Dunfermline, they paid him what he was due and he got that. And he'd still be welcome back. Mm-hmm. Dunfermline would be welcome back, I'm sure. The fans, it didn't work out. A couple of things. Sitting in the stand, Davy sat in the stand at Dunfermline because he had a bad eye and he could see in the stand a better view of the game. The fans didn't appreciate that. David didn't want to make an excuse. And he changed the training times and whatever. And anyway, it didn't work out. Then I got asked to take over for 3 games.
It was a bit magical, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
Dundee won 5-0.
Unbelievable.
Tannadice. Well, ignore Kilmarnock.
Oh.
But Tannadice.
My fault, Kilmarnock, and I'll explain why. But Davy finished on the Monday. Tuesday I went in and had a good talking to with the boys, seeing how disappointed I was in their performances. And I'm here for 3. And the directors were preparing for the First Division, looking at budgets and where they can save money and I didn't want any of that nonsense. Hey, and I told the players, we can still stay up. And I gave them this, their mental strength. And I looked at everyone, you can play. And I told them what they could do. But it's up to you to do it. I can't make you do it. I can encourage you to do it. Anyway, I went that. That was a Tuesday. Wednesday, went for a walk along the coast, countryside, from Aberdour towards Burntime and back. Had a bar lunch, that was our training. Thursday, we got down to the nitty-gritty. Friday, Craig Robertson and Hamish French did great. They were great support to me then, the two of them. Really, really did their job. They played a huge part in that. And I mean that genuinely. Mm-hmm. And on the Saturday, and as I said, when I walked out and I saw 8,500 folk, maybe a wee bit more in the stadium, cheering them on, and I said, what a lift that's given me. So it must have given the players a lift, and we got stuck into it. I can mind the quote in the Courier, Jim Duffy saying, my pal, Jim says, I don't know what all the fuss is about. Jim Leishman is not playing tomorrow. Yeah. Well, maybe wasn't on the park, Jimmy, but yeah, boy, a lot of Jim Leishman's spirit was on the park.
It was a brilliant day, that.
Oh, it was
Scorching hot as well, I remember.
It was great. And the Great Escape, it was called. And then Tannadice was just amazing to go up there, because Derek Stilley was brilliant, all the defenders
they had
brilliant.
a great team, Dundee United, didn't they? They should never have been
Jim
down
McIntyre.
the table.
Jim McIntyre.
Derek McInnes.
All the boys.
Aye.
And as I say, Derek Stilley had a really good game, and the defenders and Gary Mason, who was getting inducted on Saturday, the Hall of Fame as well. Great boys. They worked their socks off. Craig
Wilson. Ian Campbell. Local boys as well.
Aye.
Gave their all, didn't they?
Greg Ross. Craig Wilson, I just said to Craig Ross, you're playing against Barry Robson. He'll be up and down. You get him chasing your backside. You make sure he's got to chase you that way, because he'll not enjoy that. 10 minutes to go. Fell down taking cramp. Well done, Craigie boy. Well done, you've done your job, son. And we got the goalie. A draw would have been all right, but to get the winner.
That full time, eh?
Oh, amazing.
Incredible day, that. Like.
Oh, great. A 10-minute delay. And after the game, we were all celebrating, obviously. We were delighted. 6 goals, 4, none against. You had to get beat Steve Nunn or something to get relegated the last game at Kilmarnock. Anyway, talk to me. We're on the dressing room, jump up there, still great, and then knocking the door. Fourth official, Craig Roberts says, Gaffer, Stuart Douglas want to see you. What's that about? He says, Jim, can you see Stuart's got is wanting to speak to you? Because he was refereeing the Livingston game when we go beat 2-0. He was the same referee. So I goes in and shoot one. Jim, that was amazing. What a turnaround for 2-3 games ago. Amazing. Well done. I says, oh, thanks, you're very kind. I was going to turn and go. He says, Jim, I've got to report you to the SFA. You're going to, what for? Over exuberant celebrations. I says, you're joking me. What? The match commander has had a complaint for some Dundee United fans that you were
inciting trouble, basically.
Just because in the aeroplane. I says, sure, come on, you were there, sure. Why are you not booking me, sure? I says, Jim, I couldn't see the plot. I says, come on, sure, Christ, I've just saved loads of people's jobs. I'm so excited to keep my team up. He's a Brit. I says, Jim, it's a match commander's call. I says, well, have you anything to say? I say, I tell him to f off. I sure wouldn't have told him that, but and that's it. And I got a phone call going down the road on the Queensway, what was it called? Jim, I spoke to him, and there's been no trouble. He says, everything's fine, so forget it. I says, great, Stuart.
So what happened over those 2 games? What did you just give the players belief? It's all mental stuff.
No, it's all mental. People say there's no fit, there's no training. No, today with fitness. Fitness is intrinsic motivation, Mikey. Internal motivation is the biggest strength you have. Intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic was a bonus. Mm-hmm. If you get a bonus for doing something, that's extrinsic. That's external motivation. You go and try and achieve it to get that. Intrinsic is the strongest power you've got. That feeling. You'll go, your kids, Mikey, if they're starving, you'll go and you'll beg, steal and borrow to feed them. And that's intrinsic. And that's what I had. And I gave them the belief that they can do this. You can't be any worse. You're bottom of the league. You've none to lose. Let's get it done. Let us show, hey, 2 years ago you're in a cup final. 2 or 3 years ago you're in a cup final with the same boys. Come on, get their finger out. Let me just tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. You're better than that, what you're showing. Give them something to shout about.
Well, you must have enjoyed it because you decided to stay on the following season.
Was it a mistake? No. Because I didn't know the seriousness of the financial situation, Mike. I didn't know that, honestly. Or I maybe made the change with distance. Why it was a mistake, I kept them up the next year and I got to the cup final. Mm-hmm. What I know of that was walking out at Hampden, leading your team out. Dunfermline, I think. I don't know about a wee back in the war times, Willie Knight, if he was a Dunfermline supporter, did he get, I don't, but in modern times, for the 60s, Jock Stein, Celtic, Willie Cunningham, Irish, George Farn, Blackpool. Yeah. Then it goes to the Calderwood Rangers. Mm-hmm. Who else?
Jockey Scott was the 91, obviously.
Dundee
boy, aye.
And Jim Leishman, Dunfermline supporter.
It was a tough cup final that the way. Really difficult.
Things happened before that limited our chances. Mm-hmm. Darren Young broke his stay. No Hunt hurt his back, playing trampolines up at St Andrews. Two really important players, but No Hunt and Mark Burchell, great.
Yeah, they were a good pairing, weren't they?
Great. When I paired them together after the January window, the two of them, Mark Burchell was scoring for fun. No Hunt was causing all sorts of trouble. And then Darren Young with field scored the penalty in the semi-final to get up there. And I didn't have a big enough squad, Didn't have a big... Some of them were injured. And then you had the 2 injuries to them. Andy Campbell played.
He was just in the door, basically, wasn't he?
A bit out of position. Freddie Dankwan. All the great players we had. Freddie, a good lad. And he goes away with our runners up in the League Cup against Celtic. Again.
See that period as a manager, Jim, how did that compare to 10 years prior at Livingston and 10 years prior to that at Dunfermline? The game's starting to change. And how did you cope with that? Was it difficult? Or
no.
Is it still the same?
No, my type of management, I could go back and manage now because mine's all this mental attitude and getting the best out of the people, preparing them for the performance, then I would take over to make sure the performance they were going to play at their best. That was my strength. That never changes. Klopp and what's his name, Pep, Guardiola, all the boys, Martin O'Neill, all the modern managers at the time, they were never on the training ground all the time. They employed people to do it, what they were good at. So my style, I could cope with that. And I was great, and I learned early on, because I was a manager at so young, I had to learn quickly. But when I went to Livingston, I was still learning, Still learning.
You're always learning, I suppose, aren't you?
Well,
it's constantly changing. What was the most important lesson you learned, would you say, over your football management career?
To tell the truth. Not to fart about. In the early days, I would muck about and try and make it easier for the boy. Why I'm leaving you, or why I'm... No. Sorry, Mikey. I'm not playing this week. Why, what's it? Well, I've got a better option this week, and tell them the truth rather than be soft. And sometimes I was too soft as a manager. Just say, look, sorry, because the outcome the same. You're not going to be happy. You're going to still go away and no like me for that time, but you'll no like me better if I tell you the truth. So get the truth told and get it done.
It's a good one. Do you miss football management?
No.
Don't miss it?
No. I've got a great job, Mikey. To go into this as a provost for the longest serving provost in Scotland. What an honour that is, 11 years, I've got 4 to go, and how that come about was amazing, and to get re-elected for the 3rd time is just phenomenal for me and for my family.
Of course. What an honour,
Great, Mike. And to meet the King, get an MBE for the Queen, meet them all, meet the Prince Philip and Holyrood. And that's just the political side. Football-wise, Alec Ferguson and Martin O'Neill, all the people I've come across in my life, top guys. Jim McLean was great.
Jock Stein.
Jock Stein, all of them, Mickey, yeah. Jock Wallace, great.
Amazing. Told you before you into this book.
I'll have to do it, Mikey. I have to do it. From ball to chain, from football to provost. I've got the title. I got it for somebody in Crossford, for the Crossford Rotary Club, I think. He was the secretary.
You better get it copyrighted.
I'll get it done now, but great. I've had a great time, Mikey.
Brilliant. If you could pick one moment in your whole managerial career that you could relive right now, what would it be?
Dundee United 1-0 would be a great, because I saved the whole team. Not me, but that moment in time, my club was saved for relegation. Brilliant. Walking out the cup final, terrific.
And you said before the staff kept their jobs. It was much bigger than just the football.
It goes. People didn't realise that. They were keeping. So many. It's hard to distinguish between them all. Finishing third at Livingston, brilliant. Leading Dunfermline out in the cup final, brilliant. Keeping them up that day, Tannadice, absolutely brilliant. It wasn't just. It was looking out. See at Tannadice after the final whistle and looking around, and the faces of some of them your pals, some of them your
tears everywhere. Right?
Everywhere. It was just unbelievable. The adulation you got, great. And then the cup final, to see 17,500 fans, and you're walking out there, proud as punch, but you know you've got a Jimmy Johnson Cup final, it was called. A slim chance. And it wasn't like me, because I always believed I've got a chance. But in my heart I knew.
You knew all the other factors that was going on, and it's difficult, eh?
And then in the third, when at Tynecastle, when we beat Hearts 3-2, you can remember we had to beat Rangers, Dunfermline and Hearts to finish third. What an achievement that is. The last 3 games, and we convinced them we could do this, and we did it. To go down on the park and celebrate. That's like winning the league, Mikey.
Amazing. Just before we wrap this up, Jim, which has been absolutely superb, I've got some bonus questions that I want to ask you, right? So, the new owners have come into the club. You're back in the dugout. They say we've got unlimited funds. You can sign one player, anyone. Who would it be? And why?
The Man City striker.
Haaland.
Aye. Phenomenal finish.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Oh, 48 goals. Unbelievable. De Bruyne.
He's young. I think he's only 23.
He's going to be phenomenal because he's creating, his team's creating so many chances for him. So it's not just one player, it's everything about him.
Brilliant.
His teammates. De Bruyne's great.
Good choice. Who was the best signing you made in football?
Dunfermline, best value for money, John Watson. Definitely. Now, John said that his girlfriend at the time, they only got 350 quid. He got 500 quid. I'm not caring what he says. He got 500 quid, and I think he told her he only got 350. Why would you give somebody 350? 500 quid. Get a grip, Watson. Right? And Fernandes. That's when Cosmo was up there.
Yeah.
For what he did for the community. Ross Jack, great value for money. 21 goals. Loads of players. Davy Moyes. No. Davy Moyes with the no teeth. The bricky. Mm-hmm. Great. Gary Thompson. Great. Ross Jack, great. Watson, great. Yeah. I didn't sign McCarthy, but I made him a centre defender. Putting him back there, he become a superstar at Dunfermline. Fernandes. Wally Callaghan for Inverness. Take Wally Callaghan up to Inverness and ask Inverness people about him. He was a star up there. Yeah. He was never Cosmo or Ross Jack or that George Bell standard or Fernandes, but that league, Wally was great.
Brilliant. A few good players there, Jim. Uh-huh. Who would you say your best friend in football is?
Andy Young was up there early on in my career. Signed me at 14. Encouraged me when I was a young manager. Thought I was a really good teenage player. Promoted me over the shop. So he was important to me. I feel I've got that. George McNeil. 9 years with me at Livingston was just fantastic. Gregor Abel, great. Early days at Dunfermline. Gregor was super. And great. There's so many, Davey, because I treat them with respect.
Yeah.
And I needed them all. I needed them all to do what they could do.
Brilliant, Jim. Here's a different one. Who would you say is the most famous person in your phone book?
Alec Ferguson. It's got to be Alec Ferguson.
That's a good choice.
It's got to be.
Brilliant.
There's no many better than that.
The next one. I know you like your music and you like your records. If you could go on a desert island tomorrow and you could take one record, what would it be?
I would take the Drifters. Quando. Because I can dance myself to that. I'd get a coconut stuck on a pole, make the arms and legs. I'll be dancing. Tell me quando. Tell me when. Because it's a great music. I love all sorts of music, Mike. All sorts of music. People do a classical, I like it. If you see my collection there, I was watching, what's his name? Paul Simon, the great one. What's it called? I'm saying it's a great one. I can't remember the name. When he was in the South African thing, what's it called? What's the help he called? Oh, it's great. I've got it there. Brilliant. Ian Warwick, superb. Saw her live. Great. Every song she sang was a hit.
You're a big Nazareth fan as well.
Nas, big country. Mm-hmm. I was sad to hear about Darryl Sweet on the drums, and then Dan McCafferty. Sad, great boysmen, great Dunfermline supporters.
Yeah.
And but Pete Agnew still keeping them going, and sure, you still got the Skids and the country still getting appearances here and there, which is great. Great songs, man.
Aye, superb. And finally, just to wrap this up, tell us a funny dressing room story from your time in football. A clean one.
Aye, well. I was at Livingston, and I'd signed Alec Miller's laddie. He was playing Clydebank, I think it was. Was it Clydebank or Clyde at Almond Vale? And Greg, it was playing. It wasn't working out too much for him. So we're drawing nothing at half time. We're trying to get promotion, and I was so disappointed in their attitude. So I come in, and you've got to be in the dressing room. We see this where Mike Karotkich, the reserve, Ian Muller and George were standing in this doorway to the showers. It was like open plan, so the dressing room was there. You walk through there and the showers on. They're standing there, I'm going off my head at the players. And this and well. And I lifted the paper basket, right? A big paper basket. And I shoot it towards them, they're shooting them. They all ran back at the shower, and the showers were on, And all the players are all laughing. I'm trying to be deadly serious. They were all soaked, trying to hide for the showers. And if you had seen it, it's funnier when you see it when you're there, when they all ran out. And this paper basket, woof, right into the showers, and they're all getting soaked. That was funny.
Brilliant, Jim.
The Big Doug Rugby, half time. Big Doug, we're playing St Mirren. And we lost a goal, and I think Dougie was at fault for it. I was up upstairs, I was banned up there. And I was coming down, and Big Doug Rugby got the shirt off, and he's going to kill Ian Munro. Ian Munro had said something, and so I goes in. But, well, Ian Munro wasn't arguing with Doug Rugby, he was out the road, And I'm trying to get Dougie to sit down, on his shoulders, and I'm pulling him down. He wasn't moving, the big rib cage. So I says, right. And I get was it Dave Irons or Raymond Farring or something. He was tying his lace. And you don't tie your lace. You listen to me when I'm getting onto somebody to change the whole subject away from the doing. And that was it. I thought loads of funny stuff. Things that are rolling about in the flare with some of the players. You want to kill each other and all this. Great. It was just part of it. And see, at 5 o'clock, you win 1-0. Come on, well, let's get a beer.
Yeah.
Great. So proud. I had a great time, Mikey. Dunfermline. And you asked me if would you go back. I think going back for the last 3 games and in that period, that satisfied my disappointment leaving Dunfermline in the first place. Because people forget how successful I was when I went back. What it meant. I left because my wife was ill at the end. We got beat for Hibs 4-0 on the Tuesday, and I went the next day and said, look, I can't cope because I'm having to look after that and this, and her dad had died, her uncle and auntie had died, her mum had died, and my sister had died, and all the folk, whatever. And I says, right, come on, you're killing yourself here. You're not doing a good job. Let's get out the road and let somebody else come in. But when I went back, and think about it, Mickey.
I know.
If
you've got all that going on, obviously off the field, you can't dedicate 100% to the football stuff, could you?
But as I say, if you think what had happened when I went back, 3 games to go, kept them up. Next year, kept them up again, easy, and got them to the cup final.
Yeah.
Saved them. £750,000 they got for that cup final. Because everybody, all the tickets weren't sold. As soon as Jimmy Johnson passed away on the Tuesday, the Celtic fan bought all the tickets, no matter what end, to pay tribute to their hero, Jimmy Johnson. Celtic, Dunfermline. I wish I'd came.
Well, it's a good way to finish off your managerial career, eh?
It was great, Mike.
Jim, thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure catching up with you as always.
Well,
could be here all day.
It's great, Mike. I could be here all day talking about Dunfermline and Livingston. Many managers will get a chance to do it twice. Mike. At that level. Very few, if any.
Brilliant, Jim. Well, you look after yourself.
Come on, pass.
Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, which is available on all popular platforms such as Apple iTunes, Spotify and Google Podcasts. Thanks to our guest on this episode of Walking Down the Holbeath Road. This podcast was produced by Jan Motkiewicz and music supplied by Stuart Dusty Miller. We look forward to speaking to another former player in the next episode. Thank you for listening.